finally, fight time is almost upon us. Both Tony Bellew and David Haye are ready to do it all over again in the capital.
There's two sides to every story, but I don't know how this one ends. You want fire and you want glory, but there's a struggle that lies within.
David Haye is injured. He doesn't have any balance at all.
Whose side are you on?
You just can't accept that I've beat him. The worst part about it this time is when I beat him on May the 5th, his actual career just ends right on the spot. It's over for him.
Power aplenty. It has to be explosive.
Whose side are you on? Whose side are you on?
Let's get ready to rumble! On the edge of my seat, just anticipating what's going to happen.
Whose side are you on? Whose side are you on?
Hello, welcome to JD Ringside. Lots to discuss after the weigh, and I'm delighted to say that I'm joined by two former champions in Paulie Malignaggi and Carl Froch. Guys, it feels like forever we've been talking about this rematch, but the wait is over. It is finally here, Paulie.
It sure is, you know, and a bit of a different promotion this time around. I think the first time David was, I felt he was a bit overconfident. He did a lot of talking, said he was going to end Bellew early and whatnot. And I think this time around, I think the respect has been a bit more there for Haye. I thought he took a more humble approach, at least for the first part of this promotion. I mean, today we saw him talking a bit. He's confident, but I'm really curious to see how this plays out.
I know you're looking forward to it, Carl.
I am, yes, definitely. Well, today was the last chance David Haye gets to talk to Tony Bellew, and he's been very quiet and very confident and smiling, and he seems happy in himself until we saw him today, and he had a bit of a go at him, whether there's anything in that or can look into it too much. But one thing I'll say about David Haye, he's enjoyed camp and he's trained hard. He stayed in London and he's saying and looking like he's doing all the right things. He's been doing a lot of sparring as well, which is a big plus for him, because we saw last time his timing was so badly out. His reflexes seemed to be missing, and you know, his punching power wasn't really there. So whatever he did in the first fight was all wrong, and this time he seems to have put it right, so I'm looking forward to a good one.
We will talk about it much more in just a mo. But Andy's got caught up with both men after the weigh-in. But before either men could step on the scales, the Haymaker, he had an interesting journey.
Everybody hold hands.
Jubilee line service is now suspended between Canary Wharf and Stratford. Customers are there for
That's us done, isn't it? Good thing is that we always leave a little buffer just in case. It was either an hour drive or a half an hour tube ride. I thought, okay, just jump on a tube. Wrong.
Well, despite the hectic journey, the Haymaker was full of smiles and looking very lean.
Feeling lean, feeling healthy, feeling strong, ready to rumble, ready for war tomorrow night.
And always ready for a link. There he is.
I'm always here, I'm always ready.
15 stone, 10 pounds, 2 ounces for the Haymaker.
Repeat or revenge? Well, David Haye, you keep saying it's going to be revenge. It's here now. Just put it into words for us.
I'm ecstatic. I'm so fortunate that training camp's gone as smooth as it has. How I looked on the scale is how I feel. You know, last time round, carrying a little bit of unnecessary bulk. This time round, it's streamlined, it's all good, workable, lean, fast twitch muscle. The Achilles isn't going to snap. You know, my body's going to hold up. I'm going to be doing things to Tony Bellew that no one's done before. I'm going to be chopping him down, working the body, you know, working any part of the head I can get my hands to. I'm going to be breaking him up, and it's going to be very, very uncomfortable from the first round. And I'm going to see how long he'll last. I know how long I last in the ring when things are uncomfortable. Let's see how much heart Tony Bellew has, because he's going to really need to show it.
15 stone, 4 ounces for the bomber, Tony Bellew.
Repeat or revenge? Tony Bellew, the whole way through, you've said repeat?
Yeah, I have.
100% sure?
Of course. It's something we've only got on the scales. Nothing's changed since yesterday. Nothing's changed since March the 4th last year. So, we're here now, aren't we? I'm looking forward to it. I'm in great shape. He looks beautiful, doesn't he? The muscles, the abs, the chiseled look, the threatening posture. He's had stacks in his shoes today, so he looks fantastic. But I've seen all this before. When I'm about to ring walk, he will see the horrible side of me, because I can be vicious and horrible. It's not nice to say, but that's what I have to be when it's time to get the gloves on.
Are you going for the knockout in your mind? Do you see the knockout?
Without a shadow of doubt, he will get stopped.
So the story is, of course, that both men came in lighter than last time out. Bellew came in 3 pounds lighter, Haye 4 pounds. What does that tell us?
I think that they've taken this fight a bit more seriously. And not that Tony didn't take the first fight seriously. I think it's just he probably feels that David will come more better prepared for the second time around. You know, I think he expected the best of David Haye the first time, and he's prepared for the best of David Haye. And I think deep down Tony knows he didn't get the best of David Haye. I think David just trained in general. I think, you know, the first time around, I don't think he had a very good camp at all. I was actually there with him in Miami, and he wasn't really pushing himself the way I felt he should have.
Carl, was it as you expected? I mean, we know David's lighter. Is he too light, do you think?
No, I don't think he's too light. Neither of these guys, Tony Bellew or David Haye, they're not natural heavyweights. They're both real natural cruiserweights. I mean, let's not forget David Haye was the undisputed cruiserweight champion. Tony Bellew's lighter than what it was before because he's been training a lot harder and taking it maybe a little bit more serious, which is a good thing. And David Haye has really drilled it in the camp. He's really had a go. He's been doing the sparring, the strength and conditioners back in, you know, the new trainer. We've talked about him quite a lot and the build-up this week. And they all play contributing factors to the fact that he's coming in light and sharp. And as always, he looks fantastic on the scales. Aesthetically, he really is. I mean, Tony Bellew points it out because Bellew calls himself the fat kid from Liverpool.
Not so much now?
Not so much now, no. I mean, he's lighter and he does look in probably the best shape we've seen him in for a long time. But both fighters are going to give themselves the best possible chance to perform to their optimum, which is what we want. Absolutely.
Well, David Haye, as we know, came in leaner and lighter. But what about his game plan? How does the Haymaker right those wrongs in the first time? Well, Andy Scott and Spencer Fearon have got a few ideas.
Last time out, David Haye said his tactics were all off and described himself as swinging like a 15-year-old amateur. Spencer, you've identified the 3 ways he can improve. Number 1, don't load up.
Very important for him not to load up. Reason why, David Haye's got a superb jab, but he throws it from a low guard, so you can't see it when it's coming up to you. So therefore, he should be pushing out that jab with authority. He needs to have that with authority, so Tony Bellew will know what time of day it is if he hits him with that hard shot, and he can go all around the body with the shots after that. But don't load up. Do you understand? Pick the shots really smart.
Number 2, dictate the pace. Show us.
Right, dictate the pace by being aggressive, right? But not just being like a madman. He's got to be artfully aggressive. So being artfully aggressive is like being there, throwing the shots around the sides, because David Haye likes to come around the sides as well with the shots, right? Going downstairs, coming back up to the head. That's what he's going to have to do.
Number 3, right hand off the left hook.
Right. Reason why, because in the first fight you saw David Haye was throwing those big left hooks, and he was regarded like with his nickname the Haymaker, like, it was I thought there was a George Foreman in here, right? But in this time here, what he's got to do is as he throws that left hook, he's got to come straight back with that right hand. As he throws it, he can set it up, bam bam. And if he does that and he hits you, the Haymaker could be a good night.
Good night. Okay, repeat or revenge? Not long to wait now.
Well, guys, we've asked the fans to give us their views on what they think David needs to do to ensure victory. This is what Andrew Clark has had to say. He said, Haye will be totally different, won't come out swinging and will play the counter-puncher, Carl.
I think he very well may do that for a period of time, which might be 2, 3, 4 rounds maximum. But David Haye, being David Haye, he will try and land a big shot because he knows if he can connect with a big shot early on and shake Tony Bellew and hurt him and get some kind of response from the legs, he can go for the finish and he'll have the energy early on. Let's not forget he's 37.5 years old. You know, he's getting on and his best years are behind him. So, you know, he's got to go for it at some stage. The sooner he goes for it, the better.
All right, Paulie, this one's for you, short and succinct. Lee Grimbo says, I expect Haye to box sensibly, hurting Bellew in the later rounds, setting up a trilogy. What do you think of that?
Well, if it gets to the late rounds, the suspicion is, will Haye have enough to have the firepower in the late rounds? I think early on, Haye will box sensibly, box intelligently. He won't come out throwing all the big bombs that he threw in the first fight. He'll look to throw them, but he'll look to set them up a bit better behind the jab. And I think behind the jab, using the feints, using different angles, you'll probably be able to conserve a little bit of energy. So if you're looking for a late round knockout by Haye, it's probably because early on he's using enough of the jabs and enough of the angles to slow the pace down enough and get Bellew's respect so that Bellew doesn't push him too hard.
I said short. Okay, right. Coming up after the break, we look at the buzzing heavyweight division. Meanwhile, our very own cruiserweight has finally met his match.
Johnny!
Yes.
How are you, my friend?
Good. Is this the TARDIS, this place, or what?
This is the fan van.
The fan van.
Look at this.
Do you like it?
After you, sir.
Thank you.
Our first guest
Pina
in the fan
colada,
van.
champagne.
Right up to the fan van.
The fan van.
First of all, we've got the boxing. We've got the darts. Back here at the O2 in a couple of weeks' time, we've got cricket at Lord's. We've got netball and football. Hang on. Here you go. That was Bear last night, practicing his netball shots. He missed. What are we going to see today? What are we going to experience over the next couple of days?
All right, you're going to get two guys that were cruiserweights that are going to compete at heavyweights, a catchweight. The lighter they are, the better the fight's going to be, because you've got speed, you've got power, you've got accuracy, and these two guys hate each other. Anything over, say, 15, 40 stone 5, you're a heavyweight.
So basically, I was born a heavyweight.
That's right, your poor mother.
If he beats me, you write me a check of £1. Yeah? If I beat him, you give me your purse against Tony and your TV rights. Yes. No.
No.
So
don't worry about it.
The deal is there anyway.
Keep doing what you're doing. Good luck with your career.
Exactly.
Good luck with your career.
And I hope Tony knocks you out.
I know he won't.
Tony knocks you out. Tony knocks you out. I hope Tony knocks you out.
Those two still don't get on, do they? Well, as we saw, Joyce might have to bide his time a little longer to get his hands on Derek Chisora. One fighter, though, that did accept Team Haymaker's challenge was Lenroy Thomas, and Andy Scott caught up with his trainer.
Well, the Commonwealth heavyweight title's up for grabs. Champion Lenroy Thomas is back in the UK, and his trainer Kenny Porter's here. Kenny, yes. Joyce's team taking a massive risk, taking on your man.
I think it's a big step for them, but you know he's a very experienced guy. He's a big guy. He's a strong guy. So I think they're looking at his amateur career and his amateur pedigree. You know that he did so well in the amateurs and got to the medal rounds, to carry him over in this fight. For us, it's got to be our experience as a professional and having 27 professional fights that's going to see us through the victory. A lot of the things that I'm asking to do in this particular fight is going to deal with him placing his punches in the right places, you know, punch placement. So it's got to be a more strategic, but it's also got to be kind of like rough. It's got to be a rough fight for him to win this one.
Carl, it's a serious test, isn't it, for Joyce on Saturday night?
Potentially. I'm not sure if it's going to be such a serious test in terms of, I don't think he's in any danger of getting beat, but we need to know what he's about. He's 32, 33 years old now. They're trying to fast-track him. I don't think he'll have a problem, but we'll find out a lot about Joyce now against Lenroy Thomas because, you know, it's a good step up for him.
He's learning his trade alongside David Haye and the Haymaker team. You trained alongside David Haye. What did you pick up from him?
Well, in my training camp, I didn't pick up a lot from David. He was not in the gym very often, but I'll tell you what, this time around, he's got a motivated David Haye in camp, and I really believe that, you know, the David Haye that learned his lesson from the first time around, training hard, and I think somebody like Joyce can look up to somebody like this because he had a good career in the amateurs. David Haye had a great career in the amateurs. David Haye's had a successful professional career. That's Joyce's goal as well.
Well, we know the heavyweight division is filled with big punchers and even bigger personalities. But how does it all piece together?
The winner of the May Day clash could be in the perfect position for when the dust settles. For the first time in a long time, boxing is tantalisingly close to having one true heavyweight champion of the world. With the 4 major titles now being held by only 2 men, the stage is set for a potential Grand Slam unification.
King chase kings. I want Joshua.
Wilder, let's go, baby! Let's go!
Britain's Anthony Joshua now holds WBO, IBF and WBA belts after his points defeat of Joseph Parker.
And Anthony Joshua takes another leap towards ultimate heavyweight unification.
While the green and gold of the WBC is in the hands of American Deontay Wilder.
And Deontay Wilder finds the answer again in an epic battle in Brooklyn.
Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua, whoever else, I'm coming for you. The Mac is back.
It's been over 2 years, but the furious one is back. The comeback starts on June 9th, and all eyes will be on the former world champion who never lost his belts in the ring. Russia's Alexander Povetkin is in play as WBA mandatory challenger to AJ, while Dillian Whyte could be in line to face Wilder. The South Londoner could alternatively meet Kubrat Pulev in an IBF final eliminator, depending on which route they choose. Unbeaten American, Big Baby Jarrell Miller continues to improve, but is without a breakthrough win. There's a whole host of contenders wait in the wings for their chances. The scene is thriving with punches, personalities, and rivalries. Some will argue that it's not an era of great heavyweights, but few can deny it is a great era to be a heavyweight.
So much to talk about in Andy's piece there. So let's debate the big one. Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder, if it happens. Right, you've got a couple of minutes. Go.
Well, we can't say who's going to win. I don't think we can say who's going to win because it's a fight that could go either way. I think this is a fight. If they box each other 10 times, whether they ever would, you're going to get different winners every time. I mean, 60-40, in my opinion, in Joshua's favour because he's got that boxing ability, he's got the Olympic medal, and he's got the skills to manoeuvre Deontay Wilder, who's very raw, very rugged, very rough. But you're going to tell me how hard he hits.
I'll tell you what. I'd say 55-45 Wilder, even closer odds. I'd say definitely close odds, and if they fight 10 times, I agree with you. You get different winners every time. Here's my tactical analysis. Joshua has a problem going straight back. The straight punches hit him because he goes straight back. He moves in lines. He doesn't give you the side to side.
He's been working a lot more on not going back in straight lines.
And that's what he's going to have
well
to.
Spotted, he
even in the Parker fight, he was still going straight back. Parker can't reach him. Wilder will reach you with the 1-2. The dangerous part about Wilder is the 1-2. There's nothing else that's really that dangerous. A solid jab, a solid straight right hand. If you get him going wild,
the big looping shots.
There's not a lot of power in those. A lot of them are smacks. I'll tell you where Wilder has that advantage is where Joshua seems to not have a lot of head movement, so the Wilder jab is going to be difficult to deal with. And the 1-2, AJ has to learn to get either underneath it or step around or this windshield wiper like Rocky told Tommy Gunn in Rocky 5. You know?
Against a good boxer, though.
But
we saw against Ortiz, when he was jabbing Ortiz and moving and manoeuvring Wilder. Wilder was struggling.
Ortiz is a southpaw. Here's the thing. I think
Wilder was struggling early on with Ortiz before he caught him with that big shot.
I tell you what Ortiz showed us is if you can eliminate the jab of Wilder, he has a big problem. Now, how do you eliminate the jab of Wilder? Because Ortiz is a southpaw with a lot of experience. He knows how to take away your jab. A right-hander...
Shorter, older, and he was able to put him in deep water.
It's a southpaw. It's a southpaw. That lead hand takes away a little better. A right-hander has yet to show me that he can take away the jab of Wilder. If you have the jab of Wilder taken away, you probably put him in a lot of problems. I think AJ's advantage is he's more fun than... Oh, God. It was getting good, too.
Just getting there.
Oh, man.
We could go all day, couldn't we?
Yeah, we could.
We shouldn't put a timer on this. You can put a timer on this debate.
No, we're still going, by the way.
You can put a timer on this debate.
Right, done. Right. The big question is, can this fight actually be made? Right, well, let's get the latest from the man who knows, Eddie Hearn, who's with Adam Smith.
Well, it was pretty manic in New York last week. What is the latest with the Joshua and Wilder negotiations?
Well, we've taken it off the internet, which is good news, and talks are ongoing. I had an email from those guys last night. We've asked some very simple questions early this week. They told me they'd give us an answer on those today. And then from those, if the answers are positive, we can carry on and start getting serious about actually accepting the offer in principle and moving to a long-form agreement.
We can't wait to see what happens in the coming days and weeks on that. Haye and Bellew and Haye, however you want to see it, 50-50 people are saying you were right by them when there was a lot of verbals there after the weigh-in. What was said?
It was quite chilling. Haye looked him in the eyes and he said, this is going to be slow and painful for you. He said, I'm going to take my time, I'm going to break you down, and it's going to be slow and painful. And Bellew said, you said that last time. This is a fight for pride, this is a fight for legacy, this is a fight for their careers. So both guys, and I think you're going to get a very determined and again tenacious David Haye in there tomorrow night, who when he walks out the O2 Arena tomorrow night, he will know that may be the last ever time he walks to a boxing ring. And this guy is a British boxing icon, and tomorrow it could be over. Could be over for both guys. So there's more than any titles on the line tomorrow night. Like I said, it's a prize fight about pride and fighting really to save the career.
Thanks, Eddie. We can't wait for this compelling rematch.
These two are still going, unsurprisingly. The clock is ticking, isn't it? Not long now to go until that first bell. Coverage gets underway from 6 p.m. on Sky Sports Box Office. Sky customers should go to channel 491 or Box Office to book this event. For more information on all the ways to watch, go to skysports.com/Bellew Haye 2. Cable customers should contact their operator. So guys, crunch time. Prediction time, one-word answers, no sitting on the fence. Who's your money on?
So hang on, we're not allowed to give any reason behind...
One word, Carl.
Right, OK. David Haye.
I've got debates for both, but it's just...
One word.
All right, Bellew.
50-50, isn't it? Well, Tony Bellew has vowed to retire David Haye on Saturday night, but the Haymaker still believes he can be world champion, and he's drawing inspiration from the greatest.
My all-time favourite fighter is Muhammad Ali. Put his best years of an athlete on the line for his religious beliefs and his moral beliefs, and not many athletes in any sport have made that type of stand. One of the best fights I've ever seen, I didn't see it live, was Muhammad Ali versus George Foreman, the Rumble in the Jungle. My fantasy fight would be Mike Tyson versus Lennox Lewis. I think, although they did fight each other and squared it off and Lennox Lewis won, I'd have liked to seen that fight take place 10 years prior to that fight to really see two athletes in their prime going at it. I think it would be a tremendous fight. The one fighter in history I'd have loved to have fought is probably my idol, Muhammad Ali. I'd always wanted to know how I would have got on, you know, how fast was he, how elusive was he, could I have laid a glove on him? The greatest boxer of all time, in my opinion, is Muhammad Ali.
Sky Sports, feel it all.